time to rise has been engaged. Your better best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. Your finest hour. Your finest hour.
Hello and welcome to Friday afternoon. Holy moly, what a week it has been. I'm going to try to recap all the important news from this very, very busy week as we get you ready for the weekend. We'll also get you caught up on all the latest news so you are prepared and up to speed on everything that is happening as we head into this Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Speaking of the weekend, we are going to get the weekend forecast from Channel 4 Chief Meteorologist this afternoon as well. So definitely keep it here for that. That's going to be at about 2:45 this afternoon. Got a lot to unpack. More reaction, more information surrounding the peace agreement, the MOU. Donald Trump responding to some of the criticism today. So we're going to get into that. We're going to continue to talk about our thoughts and reactions and predictions for how this is going to play out over the next, specifically 60 days, as we're in this 60-day negotiating period now, which is frustrating to me, but we'll get into that as we go through the afternoon. It's Friday, so we always like to have fun on Fridays. It's heading into the week. No matter how busy and how crazy the news is, it's always important to, have a little fun, lighten the mood heading into the weekend. So we're definitely going to have some Friday fun time later on before we wrap it up at 4 o'clock. And I'm going to mix some of that fun stuff in throughout the show as well, because the big Barack Obama presidential monstrosity, this ugly building that apparently they didn't even properly pay for, is open. And there was a big ceremony there, and all the stars were on the stage. Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Jill Biden, and Joe Biden. And we got to see something we haven't seen in a long time. Joe Biden lost on stage. Joe Biden not knowing how to walk off stage, looking for help, looking lost. There's a dimension, there's a world, there's a timeline where Joe Biden is president right now. Can you imagine what that would be like?
Yeah.
If Joe Biden was still president. And I mean, this is classic, where do I go? Somebody just hold my hand and walk me off the stage. It's sad. But you have to talk about it because we keep being told, that he's still fine. Joe Biden says he's never, I was worried about him at that debate, but I've never seen him like that since. Really?
Well,
because I have.
I think all those people you just mentioned, I think they were backstage before Joe got there and said, "Hey, let's do this."
Did you see it?
When we
It
go,
looks like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's leave and leave Joe standing up on the stage. It'll be so funny.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
Because even Jill leaves him up there.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to talk about that. Also, Michelle Obama making some news during an interview regarding the opening of her husband's monstrosity of a presidential library. So we're going to get into that. And also, Tulsi Gabbard dropping a bomb on Anthony Fauci and the Biden administration on her way out the door as DNI. And so we're going to get into that here in just a minute as well. That was the great Ken Williams. He's in studio with me, as he is every Friday, to help us get ready for the weekend. Thanks as always, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
See ya. Speaking of Ken Williams, of course, Ken is the co-host and executive producer of the Vic Porcelli Show. Vic Porcelli also going to be with me this afternoon. He'll be with us in the 3 o'clock hour, right at 3 o'clock. Gabe Phifer, News Talk STL contributor, former co-host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning. He'll also be with me in the 3 o'clock hour today. He's going to be here for some of the, we're going to talk to Sirius, and then he's going to also help me with some Friday fun time. So that'll be good.
Man, talk about star-studded.
We got it. We got you
Yeah.
loaded up on a Friday. And in just a few minutes, Ken is going to be here until we talk to Steve Templeton and get that weekend forecast about 2:45. And James Knowles, the former mayor of Ferguson, current city manager of Troy, Missouri, is going to join the panel, join the conversation here with
right.
Ken and I in about 10, 15 minutes from now. So, yeah, obviously I want to get to all the Iran stuff. I want to get your thoughts on the agreement and the negotiation period and the accusation, all of it. Ken, I want to get your thoughts on that, as we go through this hour. But let's start with Tulsi. Let's start with a different piece of news for once this week, because especially since we got Joe Biden in the news today, lost on stage. Let's just jump in the time machine and look back at the Biden administration. Just before leaving office, amid a contentious battle over who will succeed her, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard used one of her final acts atop the U.S. intelligence community to spotlight Dr. Anthony Fauci's role in discussions surrounding the government's COVID-19 origins review. While much of the material is familiar, Gabbard's release underscores her efforts to make questions surrounding Fauci, COVID origins, and federal support for virus research part of her closing legacy atop the intelligence community. This was part of a conversation on Fox News earlier today where they were discussing this and reading some of that statement from Tulsi Gabbard. So I'm going to play this for you now. And Ken, I can't wait to get your thoughts on this.
Breaking tonight, outgoing Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard is revealing new evidence of long-standing U.S. government funding for more than 120 biolabs in more than 30 countries. Senior national correspondent Rich Edson joins us tonight with more on this. Good evening, Rich.
Good evening, Shannon. Well, the outgoing Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, claims the United States government knowingly withheld the full existence and funding of these laboratories from the American public. That U.S.-funded biolabs in places like Ukraine could be vulnerable because of Russia's continued assault there, among other risks around the world.
Many of these U.S. government-funded biolabs are currently or have previously engaged in research using hazardous and highly contagious pathogens, and in some cases included dangerous gain-of-function research with very little visibility or oversight.
The gain-of-function research enhances pathogens, makes them more dangerous, so scientists can study them and develop vaccines to fight them. Officials in the Biden administration, like Dr. Anthony Fauci, repeatedly denied the government funded that type of research. Other Biden officials said these overseas labs are legitimate, publicly disclosed facilities designed to track disease outbreaks and secure Soviet-era biological material.
Anthony Fauci said what? That those don't exist? That's what we were told? What did Anthony Fauci say? No gain of research?
Dr. Paul, you don't know what you're talking about.
I am science. I am science.
Right.
Hundreds. 130, I think, was the number there, of these labs around the world. Government funded, specifically by the Biden administration, that they just said that they told us didn't exist. And it was a conspiracy theory.
Well, this is your Democrat Party. This is who you're voting for, Democrats. They've been doing this for many, many years, and even through the Obama administration. Here's what we were told back then. Hey, be quiet because what you're spreading are lies. You're spreading far right-wing lies by saying the things you're saying about those gain-of-function research. We don't do anything like that. We never do anything like that. When we brought up to them, we read reports that there were actually labs in the Ukraine, and we were worried that they would get destroyed and have spread all kinds of diseases. Oh, there's none of that. That's never been there. What are you talking about? Now we're finding it all out to be true, like normal, as per usual with the Democrat Party.
If you add up all the things that we've learned since COVID, it basically the entire thing, it was such a joke. The whole thing was just made up or at least seriously exaggerated by the Biden administration. It's ironic that we're talking about this today. Just yesterday, we were talking at home. We got on the subject of like summer vacations, and we were talking about the year that my family, we went to Disney World in 2020, late 2020, right after it opened back up. And it had massive restrictions. Many of the restaurants were closed. Some of the resorts were closed. Some of the rides were closed. But it had opened, and they had really strict restrictions about, like, if you were in the on Disney property anywhere, you had to have a mask on. The only time you could take your mask off is if you were at a designated eating area and you were sitting down. You could take your mask off to eat and drink, but if you were even just going to stand up and go to the bathroom, you had to put it back. If you were walking,
that's a good but then in their defense,
no,
that's a great point because COVID knew when you were sitting versus when you were standing. So I'm just saying, I remember that
it can't spread when you're sitting.
No, because they said,
it can't spread when you're sitting.
If you sit down, if you're sitting down in a restaurant, you can take your mask off, but don't stand up like that because it will come at you. COVID will come at you so hard.
But if you couldn't even, you had to be in a designated eating area. If you just if you just went off to the side, while you were walking through the park, if you just, found a post to lean on and you had a drink in your hand, you couldn't pull down your mask and take a drink because you had to be so, they were taking your temperature before they would let you get in. Yeah. Exactly. But how intense it was. However, it was one of our best trips ever because there was nobody there. It was like we had the park to ourselves. So we always talk about how awesome that trip was because it was empty. It was like no lines to ride all of it, it was incredible. And we were just talking, Christine and I, just like I said, just yesterday, we had to make that decision. And it was like 50-50. Like, do we do this? Is it safe? Are we doing something silly? Are we risking? Are we taking an unnecessary risk here by going to Florida and going on a vacation during this pandemic? And we decided, that we should. We were just saying yesterday, looking at all the things that we know now, thank God we went. Because if we would have not gone and then learned over how false so much of the things that we were told at the time, and we missed out on our family trip because we fell for it, we would have been so upset. So we were like, thank God we went because it was an awesome trip. And knowing now we weren't taking our lives in our hands like the Fauci and the Biden administration tried to make it sound.
Here's when I thought to myself in the heat of this that it was a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Because, I remember this like it was yesterday. I'm looking at the TV watching Black Lives Matter, and they're promoting it. The government, the media, they were like, yes, Black Lives Matter. They need to be grouped together like this and protesting and burning stuff down. And then there was a big gathering down at the Lake of the Ozarks, and they called that a super spreader.
Yeah.
At that moment, I went out, took my mask off, went out to I think at the time it was a fast food, Taco Bell. And I went in there without my mask, and they said,
oh, boy.
They told me, get the mask on. I said, you either serve me or I'm going to call the police. I'm done with this. And they backed off.
Yeah.
And because I made a point.
Yeah.
And Tony, there's never been a law that said you had to wear a mask. There was only fear that made people make you wear a mask.
My kids lost 2 years of their.
My daughter quit softball. She was a top pitcher.
Yeah.
As a senior at Afton, and she was trying out. She goes, Dad, they're making me wear a mask on the mound. I can't breathe.
No, that's so bad for athletes.
Quit.
Yeah. My daughter it was her senior year, and she missed out. She was in the orchestra. It was her, she would have finally been able to be, first chair. It was her year, as it is for all seniors. It was her year to shine, and it was all taken away from her. It was all taken away from her because they were at home the whole time. I think they had one, maybe two concerts, and it was very, very much small. She lost her prom. just everything that comes along with senior year.
The lock-in that they usually do. My daughter didn't get to go to one of those.
Yeah.
And she would like talk about when my older daughter, she was 4 years older than Abby. She had a lock-in, and that was such a big deal, such a rite of passage for them as seniors, right? And then Abby's like, if there's one thing that I want to do when I become a senior is that lock-in. It's so cool, so fun. Oh, she didn't get to do it.
All that stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we lost. And then, just this story, this Tulsi Gabbard story today, just really, and the fact that we just talked about this at home yesterday is just such a reminder. And it's a lesson, people always say that if you don't learn about your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yep.
It's important to remember just how capable our government is of misleading people. And to remember this.
You're getting me worked
forward.
up, pal.
Yeah, I know, right?
You really
Who
are.
knew we were going to talk about
bringing
COVID?
back these memories. Oh.
Well, here, let's lighten the mood before we get James on the line. Speaking of Joe Biden, lost on stage again today. I guess this was last night. He was caught in an awkward moment, Joe was, when he drifted back towards the stage and the podium after the dedication ceremony for President Barack Obama's new presidential library wrapped up last night. So, as Ken mentioned earlier, you see there's like a band playing. They were playing Jimi Hendrix. They were playing Voodoo Child. And you see like Barack like pointing at the band and playing air guitar to the Jimi Hendrix. And he's walking off stage waving. And Jill Biden, she's the belle of the ball. And she's walking off stage waving. And they just all leave the stage. And then here's Joe. And then the camera pans back to Joe Biden, who is a deer in headlights. Like looking around with that, okay, forgive the way I'm going to say this, that old man, like squint and stare and like shrugging his shoulders, like, and he had his aviators on, of course, because he's Mr. Cool Guy, even when he's 110 years old. He has to lift up the glasses because he can't find, so I guess he was going to be the cool guy with his sunglasses on stage, walking off. But now he's lost, so he takes his sunglasses off, and he's lost. And the clip ended before anybody came and got him. I don't even know how he may right now still be circling that stage, not able to get off.
Didn't he say at one point, "Where's my granddaughter?"
Yeah. Where's my granddaughter?
Maybe she was supposed to come up and grab him.
I think that maybe he realized that he looked lost, and he had to come up with a reason like, "Oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm not lost. I'm looking
for my granddaughter. Yeah, I'm here. I'm the one sticking it out to look for my granddaughter."
He would be president right now in a different timeline.
Yeah.
Think about that. Chilling.
Yeah, you just gave me a chill.
Yeah. Ken Williams is with us until we get Steve Templeton from Channel 4. Steve is going to give us the weekend forecast in about 20 minutes. Ken Williams is going to stick around with us. And James Knowles, the former mayor of Ferguson, current city manager of Troy, Missouri, he's going to join the conversation with Ken and I next.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
She takes a sip of champagne. It's elegant and not vain.
Number one for live and local conservative talk.
I just would like to get your comments on that. I'm so glad that you're on the radio, and I want to thank you for that.
I'll tell you why.
101.9 and 94.1.
I love these people.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hi, Sandy. What's that?
I'm reading up on this Amendment 4 on the August ballot.
What's 4?
Amendment 4 absurdly creates a new un-American minority veto power, but only for ballot issues that we citizens put on the ballot.
Don't they say it'll protect conservative ideas?
Truth gets in the way of their story. Amendment 4 would mean as few as 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one congressional district could veto any good conservative idea or reform, even when a big majority supports it.
That does sound un-American. How did that get on the ballot?
The politicians put it there, and it would empower a small minority of liberals. They could stop funding for police, stop tax cuts, or any other common sense conservative policy we support.
Only 5%? One district? That would make it nearly impossible to pass needed reforms or rein in politicians.
Yep, Amendment 4 is a misguided power grab by politicians. I'm voting no on Amendment 4.
Right. I'm not giving up my constitutional rights. It's a hard no on 4.
Paid for by Missourians for Fair Governance.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson. Mario's Donut Restaurant, that's your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches, omelets, delicious gyros, and Mexican dishes, to their revamped menu with cannolis, tiramisu, baklava, and danishes. And don't forget those famous donuts. Dine in or carry out, Mario's friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit, or just visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Tony Colombo in studio with producer Ashlyn and Ken Williams, the co-host and executive producer of the Vic Porcelli Show. And also joining the conversation now is the former mayor of Ferguson, Missouri, current city manager of Troy. Mayor James Knowles is on the line with us. Mayor, as always, appreciate your time and quick congratulations on a very successful gymnastics national finalist tournament for your daughter this week. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, no, it was great. It's been a great.
Uh-oh. See?
Yeah, that didn't sound good.
See how they get us, Ken?
You see, they didn't want you talking about it.
No, they don't.
Whatever it was.
They don't like it. They don't like to hear what James has to say. You want well, let's hang up and try to get him back on the line here. But yeah, his daughter dominated at the national gymnastics meet. We got him back. Got James back. Yeah, James.
Yeah, I'm here.
The bad guys. The Democrats. They didn't want to hear about your daughter's success. So
right.
They're messing with the phone lines.
Well, she did great. First place all around. That's the best part. She's going to the National Junior Olympics. We're excited.
Man, that's awesome.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
That is great stuff. So I intentionally in that first segment didn't talk about the Iranian deal and the latest reaction because I wanted to wait to get James on the line and continue that conversation. We also wanted to start off, I just wanted to get Ken all riled up, too, to start the show.
He did, and he did.
Talking about Tulsi Gabbard's release of some more information about the lies during the Biden administration during COVID. It's all out there. Go back and check it out on the podcast if you missed that conversation. But I'm just going to start by asking both of you. Ken, I'll start with you. This is the first time I've had a chance to talk with either of you since the peace agreement was signed. There's been a lot of controversy, a lot of reaction from both sides of the aisle. We'll dig into some specifics here as we go. But just overall, Ken, how do you feel about this agreement? And are you happy with it? Do you feel like we're on the right path?
Yeah, Tony, even though the media and the left do not want to give President Trump a win, they refuse to allow him the process to go about the way he wants it to. I believe we're in a better spot than we were even last week when I was trying to figure out where I stood on it. And it's because now, as opposed to when Barack Obama gave the pallets of cash to them without any strings at all, now we can monitor what every dime they're spending, where it's going. If it goes to Hamas or Hezbollah or Houthis, then we'll know immediately. And as soon as we find that out, the money stops and the bombs start. This is such a different setup apparatus to monitor them than we had ever in the past. And you know what? I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in the day, they would say, we come out, well, we have these inspectors that want to check out your nuclear facility. No, you're not. Get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they agreed to do it, they would never let us. Now we tell them we're coming in whether you like it or not.
And that type of information, some of those things that we do have the ability to do now and that we do get as part of this agreement is important, and it's not the stuff that's been focused on. So,
no, not at all.
You know, a lot of the things that have been focused on are the 60-day negotiation period, the $300 billion, reconstruction, the loosening of the sanctions, and all of these things. I will say, James, just personally, and I'll chime in as we go through the conversation as well. But I was very frustrated yesterday, and I'm a little less frustrated today, as Ken, was pointing out, as we've learned a little bit more. But I still feel like we gave Iran too much leverage.
I agree.
And this whole process, and hopefully it's something that it will turn around during this 60-day negotiation period. It's not over, and we don't know how this is all going to be finalized until this negotiation period is over. But I still remain a little bit frustrated of why are we even giving them any leverage whatsoever? We should have just been dictating the pace the entire time. James, what do you think about, how do you feel about this agreement, at least as it stands right now?
I think what I hope is not going to happen is that they're just going to be waiting out for a weaker president. I mean, right now we're talking about, monitoring and making sure that they spend the money the way that, they're supposed to, that it doesn't go back to rearmament. We talk about, inspections. These are all great if you have somebody who's got, who's willing to go drop the bombs, who's willing to take a hard stance on enforcement of the agreement. All it takes is for Donald Trump or, his successor to decide it wouldn't be Donald Trump, but I mean, his successor could easily just say, well, I don't have the courage to drop more bombs. I don't have the courage to get back down in the weeds. When they decide, I know we said yes, just like they have before, and then they say, no, we're not going to let you come in and inspect anymore or do something about it. We're going to go ahead and spend the money on rearmament. I think that's always the frustration. I mean, at some point, we'd love to have some sort of, Versailles level, disarmament like Germany, World War I, right? That probably was never going to happen. But, at some point, this has to be lasting. I hope it is. I hope that whoever is the successor president at some point will also hold them accountable to this. I hope they're just not trying to outlast Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ken. And because I've been saying that it's not a question of if Iran will, go back on at least one of the promises in here. It's just a matter of when. I hope I'm wrong, but history tells me that, they can't be trusted. So, and I didn't even, it's been good to hear people like Pete Hegseth this week say, look, if they step out of line, if they break any of this deal, we're ready to roll immediately. But to James's point, this is a great reminder of how important the midterm elections are and how important the next presidential election is, because they could just decide we're going to wait it out, see what happens in that next presidential election. And especially if somebody, like Gavin Newsom gets elected president, why Iran would, I think, have a lot of.
I just blacked out for a second.
I think that they would have they would be very encouraged to no longer stick to the deal if there wasn't, a president like Trump in office. What do you think about those concerns?
Yeah, Mayor and Tony, I was listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show yesterday, and Chris Arps made a really good point, and it actually bothered me because he said, well, what about the fall surprise? What about the midterm surprise? And I'm thinking, what are you talking about there? And you can't trust Iran, the Iran leadership. You cannot trust those Islamic Republic Iranians to do the right thing. And what they're going to do, he said they could wait until this election, even at the midterms, and say, nope, here's what we're going to do now, and really put a wrench in things for President Trump.
Absolutely. So as it stands right now, Ken, how do you feel about the way that this has been embraced by the American people? Do you think that this has strengthened the momentum behind the president and the Republicans heading towards the midterms, or do they still have some work to do to convince everyone that this was the right agreement and on the right path before we get to August and November?
Yeah, I think the main thing for the American people in general is get the prices down now. Now you did what you wanted to do. That's fine, but let's get the prices down. But on the other side of this, I don't think we went far enough. I agree with you. I think we should not have given them the Iranian leadership any leeway like we did.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that could hurt the administration a little bit.
Yeah, James, to that point, like yesterday I was doing a story about how the supreme leader over there, the Ayatollah's kid, Machatba Khomeini, was like going public and saying, look, our president, the Iranian president, he said that this is the right thing to do, and so I'm gonna support the president, but I feel like, this was just barely good enough for Iran to sign. Like, that is a crazy statement. That makes it sound like they were the ones making the decisions.
Yeah.
I feel like, during this 60-day negotiation period, it's really important, James, that the Trump administration, the United States, shows the strength of being in control and calling the shots as we finalize the deal. I think that's massively important. What do you think about how this is, how this needs to play out over the next 60 days and more as we get to the midterms?
Well, I think, it was already mentioned, we need to make sure we've got to bring prices down. We got to talk about the economic side of this when it comes down to the midterm elections, because people vote their pocketbook. Whatever crazy stuff's going on over there, they're going to pay attention to some level, but ultimately they're paying attention to the gas prices. They're paying, voters at least are paying attention to gas prices. They're paying attention to, the economic squeeze that they're experiencing right now. I think once that's lessened, they're going to start paying a little bit more attention to, okay, what did we really get out of this deal? And of course, it's just going to be a matter of time before we figure out if this is successful or not. The Iranians have the luxury of controlling their media, so they can say whatever crazy stuff they want. Who's going to tell them no? I mean, it's not like they let them have the internet. Half the time they shut it down so that they can control the message, and they don't have elections, at least not free ones. So, for them, it's all a spin. For us, in America, free media, all of the conversations going on pre-midterm elections. Donald Trump's got to improve the economic situation here if he's going to, keep control of the House and Senate. And I think that that's probably what he's most focused on. The rest of this, I think he's obviously got the, commitment, like it was said earlier, to drop bombs if necessary to enforce this deal. I think that's going to keep them at bay for now. It'll be interesting to see what happens, closer to the midterms. I think Chris Armstrong made an excellent point about that. They leverage this to influence our elections? Don't put it past them.
Yeah, I think that is the most important thing moving forward, Ken, is that if they do step out of line anyway, that we need to back up our threats of, hey, look, this is your last chance, and if you step out of line, you're going to pay the price. I think that has to be enforced, and we have to be the ones that are showing that we're the ones in control and calling the shots.
That's such a solid and cogent point, and with the showing that we are actually in control. I think President Trump, to some degree, is trying to be cordial because he understands how that works over there with pride and all that stuff. But at some point, you got to say, I don't care. I don't give a damn about your pride. Here's what's going to happen. And another thing, hey, Mayor, you mentioned something about the media over there. They have the advantage of the media. Hey, Iran has the Iran Islamic leadership has the advantage of the media here in our country. They are all for them.
You're right. You're right there. I mean, unfortunately, when the mainstream media is bought into a narrative that is anti-American, that's a problem.
One of my favorite things that Donald Trump has said throughout this entire situation was when he was talking about the media. And he's brought this up multiple times, the president has brought up multiple times how disingenuous a lot of the media coverage of the Iran negotiations and war and all of it have been. And he said a couple weeks ago, Ken, you and I might have talked about this when he said it. He said that the media is the media is so disingenuous about this that it's even surprising the Iranian government that Iran is even surprised at how well they're doing in the war.
Yeah, hey, James, we talked about it. Tony's like, Tony's reading, and I'm like, what did they say? Because the Iranian leadership was like, yeah, we're surprised they're so far behind.
We didn't
us.
know we were doing so good either, but we
yeah.
just read the reports in the American media. I guess we're kicking ass.
Well, who needs psychological warfare on their behalf when they have our own media working?
Exactly.
No kidding, man.
I mean, we got to work really hard at getting this information over to the free peoples in Iran that want to think and learn what's really happening in the world. The CIA, I'm sure, is probably going to continue that effort.
I hope
going forward. But
I hope.
But yeah, it's a freebie. I mean, they've got a whole intelligence apparatus in our own mainstream media working for them.
They really do.
Got a couple minutes left here with the former mayor of Ferguson, Missouri. Mayor James Knowles is on the line with us. He is the current city manager of Troy. Ken Williams from the Vic Porcelli Show is here as well. And I want to change gears here, especially with James on the line with us, to some local news and politics. I have been surprised, James. We've talked, you and I have talked, and we've had this conversation throughout the show over the last couple of weeks about how massively important the local August primary elections are, and how those are like in the political timeline is, will be here in the blink of an eye. I have been a little bit surprised at how much already we have seen ads and the money that is being spent on some of these issues, specifically like Amendment 4 and Amendment 5, IP reform and the income tax. And it shows you, James, that the special interests, they know how important this election is, and they know how important these issues are, and they know how close those elections are. And I think it's a wake-up call for everybody that if you want to make sure, that the right things happen and people have the correct information about these very important local elections in August, that the time to start talking about it is now. What do you think about how close we are to these elections and how important it is to start, talking about them and informing people?
Well, I mean, it's always been, 30 to 45 days out is when the real run to the elections are in any election. And, we're about a little more than 45 days out from the August election. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, there is so much confusion and so much that's already been put out there just by the media about these initiatives that I think that they are probably, interest groups and everybody else is like, hey, we've got to clear this up now. Some of these are complicated. There's questions. There's a lot of information. It's not just one or two issues. I mean, there are so many amendments. I mean, I'll be honest, I can't even get the numbers straight. I mean, I can't keep it straight now. So, when I get out there, I'm going to be like, well, okay, I'm going to have to read this. Which one is it that I'm, that I want to vote for? So I think that's probably why they're spending the time and money now. I think you're going to see that, all through July. It's going to be, everything. You're going to get pummeled with it.
Yeah, I agree. And Ken, I think James is exactly right when he says, it gets confusing when you hear, ads or hear people talking about these issues, and you'll hear two people talking about the exact same issue but it sounds like, they have completely different information or completely different facts. It's like, who do you believe? What's the truth? I think that's why it's so important that people start getting engaged right now, and we don't let, there's the war, the agreement, everything happening internationally and nationally are super important, and we need to still talk about it and inform people about it, but we need to focus on these local elections as well, because there's no more, the most important politics are local politics.
Well, whether it's intentional or not, it's falling into the playbook of the Democrat Party. The confusion, that's what they like. They love that. They'll name things the exact opposite of what's really going to be happening if you vote for it. And so they love that kind of thing. And so when it happens by accident, they're like, yeah, let's go, man. This is great. And so I think you're right, James. I think sometimes people who don't pay attention like we do, they just come home from work and they're like, oh, what am I voting for here?
Because they got lives and families and jobs.
Yeah, exactly right. But Tony, across this nation, we need to understand something. School board meetings, local council meetings, they are the most important thing.
They are.
Islam, for one, and I'm going to say the progressive, the fascist, whether you're communist or even socialist, you know now it's not about military, it's not about guns, it's about getting in locally and then growing from there, the rot from within.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure we're paying attention to it because they're doing it.
James, we're almost out of time, but I wanted to get, like I mentioned, I was surprised at like how intense already, some of these ad campaigns are about these various issues, and specifically Amendment 4 and Amendment 5 are the two hot button issues. I'm not surprised by the debate around Amendment 5, the income tax, because both, there's passionate people on both sides of that and which direction it should go. What I am more surprised by and extremely worried about is the strong push by some against Amendment 4 and against IP reform. Because if we don't fix the amendment process in Missouri this August, I don't know that we're ever going to get another chance at it. And we screamed about it from the top of the mountains for like 3 years to get the legislative body to act, and they finally did. And if after all of that work we lose it at the ballot box, it'll just be heartbreaking. What do you think about the, all the money and passion behind, Amendment 4 and Amendment 5? It seems to be, the focus here on these as we get into the August primaries.
Well, I think honestly, it's they're definitely two of the most impactful across the board for citizens here in Missouri. I will tell you that, the fact that there's a lot of questions and a lot of groups who can be and will be affected by the amendment about the income tax, that's going to be, that's why you're going to see so much money poured into that, because people are just, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of talk about how this is going to affect local governments, fire districts, all down the line, because we don't know what's going to replace the income tax. On the IP reform, of course, these guys, these special interests have been funding these efforts for so long. This is how they get everything they want and how they get it the way they want it. You and I have talked about, marijuana legalization wasn't something that I think most people was against, but the special interests drove it. And now it's kind of hard to kind of tighten up things that should it have ever been like that in the Missouri Constitution? No. But people voted yes because they're like, hey, we want to get this done, so we'll just.
It's how the abortion law was changed in Missouri.
Exactly.
Using
nobody wanted to take, the majority didn't want to take the reins completely off of abortion, but they did it because they felt like they were told that this was too far one way, so they voted for what they got. Got to stop it. I think that's the most important one on the ballot. Undoubtedly, we've got to stop. We've got to tighten up IP reform,
Amen.
And I think this is going to be the year.
Yeah, great stuff as always. I hope so, and we're definitely going to put a focus on it in the coming weeks here on this show, and I know across the board here at News Talk STL. Mayor James Knowles, former Mayor Ferguson, current city manager of Troy, Missouri. Really appreciate your time as always, my friend, and Ken Williams, thank you.
And happy Father's Day to both of you guys. I'm heading down to Arkansas to see one of my daughters, so happy Father's Day to you.
Back at you guys.
Awesome.
Happy Father's Day.
Back at you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're going to continue the conversation with the man, Vic Porcelli himself in the 3 o'clock hour. But first, we're going to get the weekend forecast from Channel 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton next.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Republican lawmakers have mixed reviews on President Trump's Iran deal. We'll ask Congressman Bob Onder his concerns at 4:20.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Chris Arps. If you enjoy a good cigar like I do, check out Dorset Cigar at 11396 Dorset Road in Maryland Heights. They'll help you find the perfect smoke, and they have a fantastic premium selection. Mention promo code NewsTalkSTL for 7% off. Visit DorsetCigar.com.
Summer is here at Daniel's Farm and Greenhouses on Juggerman in St. Peters. Discover our breathtaking 55,000 square feet of greenhouses featuring 8,000 hanging baskets, hundreds of perennials, and 100,000 pots of colorful annuals. From vegetable plants to premium grass seed, mulch to herbs, our knowledgeable staff is ready to answer all your questions. Start spring off right with pansies, potted tulips, and everything your garden craves. Daniel's Farm and Greenhouses. Visit us today on Juggerman or online at danielsfarmandgreenhouses.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Steve Templeton's Weekend Forecast, brought to you by Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor for all your roofing needs. Visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Great conversation there with Ken Williams from the Vic Porcelli Show and the former mayor of Ferguson, current city manager of Troy, Missouri, Mayor James Knowles. If you missed any of it, go back and check out the podcast. That's the best way to make sure you never miss anything on the show by subscribing to the Colombo and Company podcast on your favorite podcast platform. All right, speaking of the Vic Porcelli Show, the man himself, Vic Porcelli, going to join us in about 10 minutes, just after 3 o'clock. But first, it is time to get the all-important weekend forecast. Channel 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton is on the line with us. Steve, I'm not even going to try to guess the what. It just, it's that time of year where it could just do anything. So
it's challenging, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'll let you just walk us through the next few days. I know that we certainly have the potential for some beautiful weather. It's really nice right now, but will it last is the important question. Yeah. So what are we looking at?
No, it won't. The weekend's not all that bad, though. It's Sunday that you really want to pay attention. That's a first alert weather day for potential strong storms and some flooding. Before we get there, we've got a great day in the night tonight, low down to 66 degrees, a high of 86 tomorrow, and mostly a great day. A little more cloud cover than today, and just a slight chance for a spot shower to bubble up in the late morning and afternoon. I think most stay dry, but a quick little shower is not out of the question. 86 for the high. Sunday is the day that's a first alert weather day. We could see a few storms in the late morning to around midday. We'll have to monitor those for a lower risk of severe weather, but I'm expecting the afternoon to early evening, like the 1 p.m. to 6 or 7 p.m. time frame, probably be prime time. But the models have kind of been all over the place on the timing, so stay with us and check back for updates on the timing. But afternoon, early evening, let's watch for some severe storms, potential for hail, wind, even isolated tornado, high of 81 degrees on Sunday. And some flooding is possible with these storms, too, because we're going to get very sticky, very humid on Sunday. And even after this kind of afternoon, early evening round of storms hits, I think the cold front's going to slowly drag through. So we probably still have some more downpours Sunday night into Monday morning. Could add up to 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, some isolated spots, 3 inches where we would get some flooding. But that does dry out as we head into Monday with a high of 78 and partly cloudy skies.
Wow,
so it's
78.
Sunday on Father's Day that's kind of messy.
Yeah, 78 on Monday. That's we're in late June now.
Right? Yeah.
I'll take a high of 78 this time of year. Anytime we can get it, that's pretty good.
That's about 10 degrees below normal, and that's the impact of the cold front by Monday. But unfortunately, we might have to get through some severe weather and some flooding Sunday and Sunday night.
So it sounds like Sunday is one of those just like big lines of storms that come across. This is a whole metro area situation, not something that's more likely north, south, or something like that on Sunday.
Right.
Correct?
I do expect it widespread. The morning stuff is probably a little more hit and miss, morning to early afternoon. But when we eventually get that line of storms to come through later in the day and the evening, that's going to be more widespread, and we'll all get some storms out of it.
Is there anything this year so far that because this for once, and maybe I'm wrong about this, for once this kind of feels like more of a like what it should be, St. Louis spring and summer, whereas last year it was like we didn't have a spring. It went from cold and rainy to burning hot. And in recent years, I kind of feel like it's been really, really goofy. Are we kind of is this kind of like the norm for what we should be seeing in St. Louis this time of year? Or is there something happening like we're way low on rain or way high on rain, or like what's this year look like historically?
It's been like this month, for instance, as June has been kind of up and down. I mean, there's been some days which for June are rather cool, like 10 degrees below normal, like 70s for highs. And then there's been days where we've touched the 90s and even mid-90s. So there's been some, kind of back and forth, and it all averages out to just slightly above normal for June. As far as the rainfall goes, we're above normal for June. We've got about 3.5 inches so far, and at least for the month, we're about 0.8 of an inch above normal, and potentially way above normal if the Sunday rainfall pans out too. So rain-wise, though, we're good. We're not talking about drought in St. Louis, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, keep your, pay attention to the skies, especially on Sunday, on Father's Day. And as I always say, keep that Channel 4 weather app close, because that is just a lifesaver when it comes to severe weather and keeping up with everything that is happening. Steve and his team do such a great job of keeping everybody up to speed on that app. So I know I'll have it handy on Sunday, but have a great weekend yourself, Steve. And as always, really appreciate your time, my friend. Talk
Thanks,
to you soon.
Tony. Happy Father's Day. Take
yeah,
care.
Back at you. Thank you. Great stuff there from Channel 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. All right, back into some of the news of the day, plus some Friday fun time coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. We're going to talk to News Talk STL contributor Gabe Phifer, and also Vic Porcelli joins us next on Colombo and Company.
Hey, it's Vic. If you have a tree that you think is dead, you can get Roots Plus to remove it for you. Or if you think the tree is savable, or if Roots Plus thinks it's savable, they can save your tree and you keep your cash. Call them and find out what that's all about at 314-440-3662. The crews are great. They get things done. They removed the tree for me, and they did expert work, and I definitely will put my name on their company. So save the tree with Roots Plus LLC. RootsPlusLLC.com.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL, JC's Sunday Showgram.
The world pretty much came to a stop this week in 1989 when a little movie called Batman opened. You'll hear my conversation with Kim Basinger. Also, it's back to 2013 with Weird Al Yankovic in the studio. And why did my very first radio gig get cut short after only one show? All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on NewsTalkSTL.com. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott. Further negotiations between the U.S. and Iran, while not taking place today, is scheduled, may be held soon as a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah has been announced. Salem Radio Network military analyst Colonel Robert McGann says that so far the ceasefire deal with Iran favors them.
The IRGC is running the game, and that they got a sweetheart deal out of Trump. If you look at the 14 elements of the MOU, they're all, in my estimation, very supportive of an Iranian positive outcome.
And Colonel McGinnis tells the Salem Radio Network that much of the Iran deal has yet to be determined.
If the president's primary goal, which he's articulated recently, is to make certain that Iran never has a nuclear weapon, then we have to wait a few weeks in order to ascertain whether or not that's going to come to fruition.
Retired Army Colonel Robert McGinnis. A new poll on what Americans think of President Trump's handling of Iran.
Even with President Donald Trump's suggesting that a deal with Iran to end the war had been reached, most Americans still disapprove of how he's handling the issue. About 65% of Americans surveyed by the Associated Press and the New York Center for Public Affairs Research disapprove of how Trump is handling Iran. But when looking at just Republicans, only 28% are unhappy. The poll was fielded as Trump announced a deal with Iran and authorized an end to the U.S. naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. I'm Donna Warder.
Just 12 hours after forming, a short-lived tropical storm Arthur degenerated into a remnant low, but its lingering moisture could still trigger redevelopment along the East Coast. The historic downpours prompted multiple flash flood emergencies. The Carolinas will be impacted through tonight. More on these stories from townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Saturday, a low of 66, a high of 86 degrees, and a 20% chance for a spot shower in the morning to afternoon. Most of us stay dry, though, and just a warmer and slightly more humid day. Sunday's a First Alert weather day, though. Let's watch for scattered storms. A few storms are possible in the morning, a better chance in the afternoon to evening. Some of these could be severe. Flooding as a potential as well. A high of 81 and a stormy Father's Day for Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL, brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
42% of Missouri fourth graders can barely read. 42%. It's the worst result in 20 years. If kids can't read by third grade, they fall behind in school, and many never catch up. But other states have provided a roadmap for success. Missouri needs one universal reading test for all third graders and one clear statewide standard for what it means to pass that test. A struggling reader who still can't read after extra help and a second chance at the test should repeat third grade with some exemptions. We also need to end the outdated 3Qing method, which encourages guessing instead of reading, and require teachers to be trained in the science of reading. In Mississippi and Indiana, test scores jumped up dramatically after these reforms, and Missouri can do the same. Missouri children deserve to become confident, capable readers, and strong early literacy reforms can make it happen. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by the Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Jam-packed 2 o'clock hour there with the weekend forecast from Channel 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. If you missed that, basically the Cliff Notes version is tomorrow's pretty nice, but Sunday, Father's Day, is shaky at best. So keep an eye on the sky, and if you've got any plans this weekend that involve being outside, might want to make sure they are happening tomorrow and not on Sunday. Also talked to the former mayor of Ferguson, current city manager of Troy, Missouri, James Knowles in the 2 o'clock hour, and the executive producer and co-host of the Vic Porcelli Show, Ken Williams. If you missed any of that, go and check out our podcast. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and that's the best way to make sure you never miss anything on the show. And as we kick off this 3 o'clock hour, speaking of the Vic Porcelli Show, we got the man himself, Vic Porcelli, on the line with us. Vic, just like I said to Ken a few minutes ago, thanks for a little overtime on a Friday afternoon and joining us today. How are you?
Anytime, Anthony, anytime.
Oh, baby, there's so much to talk about. What a week. There's just been, and I touched on this with James Knowles and Ken in the 2 o'clock hour. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about with this Iran deal and what's happening with the war and with the countries on the international level. But we're also getting closer and closer to these local midterm elections in August, and we're starting to hear, political ads about things like Amendment 4 and Amendment 5. We can't take our eyes off of any of this right now. There's so much important things happening, both locally and nationally and internationally. It's like where do you start? I wish I had 3 hours a day. What a luxury that would be to have 3 hours a day to talk about all these things.
I was in the same position. Ken and I were trying to fit a whole week's worth into 2 hours. We're having a hard time now cram it all into 3 hours.
I know it. So let's start, because you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this. Let's start with the Iran deal. I was frustrated yesterday with the deal. I am still frustrated today, but Ken did an important, shared some important information about, the things that are in this deal, the things that the United States is able to do now as far as monitoring Iran and going into their facilities and, not being able to be stopped or blocked or anything like that. Some of the things that we did get out of this deal that haven't been as publicized as some of the other pieces. I still feel like overall we gave Iran way too much leverage and way too much of a voice to, negotiate where they, have no business having any of that leverage. I still feel like we did give them too much, but it's important to, learn the entire agreement before we start making all of our decisions. How do you feel in general? We'll get into some of the specific parts of this in a minute, but in general, how do you feel about this agreement?
I think that if Iran wants to F
around,
they'll FO.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like we're giving them. If Trump's proven he isn't afraid to bomb them, what's the problem? If they FA, they will FO. There's just no doubt about it. And when people talk about, let's take Margaret Brennan from Face the Nation, for example, right? President Trump said Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. That's in the deal. And then Margaret said, well, that was in the Obama deal, too. Yeah, well, apparently that didn't happen because they were close to getting a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
Absolutely. And to your point, and I think this is the most important thing moving forward. We touched on this yesterday, and actually Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire was the one who mentioned this. Listen to what the entire administration is saying. You've got Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, giving their information and responding to things, but you've got Pete Hegseth, standing next to them saying exactly what you just said, Vic, that if they step out of line and at all, they step 1 foot outside of this agreement, the U.S. military is ready to roll immediately. And, they didn't try to qualify his statements, just because the president didn't say it, they didn't give him the side eye or anything. So he's obviously speaking for the administration. And I think the most important thing moving forward is holding up that, those consequences. If they do step out of line, paying the price for it. And during this 60-day negotiation period, make it very clear to the world that we're the ones that are calling the shots and dictating how this is going to play out over the next 60 days. I think if we show that strength as we finalize all the parts of this deal during this negotiation period, that will, at least for me, I'll feel a lot better about things than I do maybe today. What do you think about that?
Well, I have so many things now, Tony. You gave me
Yeah,
so many avenues.
please.
First of all, remember trust but verify? That's out. Now it's verify and verify.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
No
No
more
trust,
So
no
that-
trust. Yep.
Right. Let me get that out of the way first. Second of all, I said it again. Trump is not afraid to bomb them. If they do want to mess around, then they're going to find out. And, if they want to lose everything, then they'll lose everything, infrastructure and bridges and ways to make uranium, the buildings to make uranium. I mean, they're just in such a bad spot right now. And have you noticed legislatively nothing's getting done, because they're all on the TV shows bitching about Trump. God, do your own job instead of worrying about what he's doing, because you're not doing your own job. And I say the same thing about the media. They're not covering some stories because, I got to get the gotcha question on Trump. And I loved when J.D. Vance was holding the briefing yesterday, I think it was. So this guy, I don't know the guy's name. I'm going to make up a name because I can't remember his name. Vice President Vance, who do you want to run for 2028? Vance says, what's your name? He says, John Sukowski. I want John Sukowski to run. I want you to run.
That's funny you say that. One of the more funny stories of this week, speaking of the 2028 election, what did J.D. Vance do to Joy Behar on The View to get her to endorse him essentially for president? I think she's got a crush on the vice president.
That could be. I got a crush on him. So, here's the thing about them, that whole crew, okay? They know they have to toe a certain line, right? Now, they also know they're getting some kind of pressure from the network because that's all they do. Do something else. My God, talk about the Yankees or talk about knitting or sewing or something else besides Trump. There's got to be something else. They're such a one-trick pony. And Ana Navarro, Ken laid it out so well for us this morning. Ana Navarro is one of those people who, especially when she's wrong, she just keeps talking fast and interrupting and talking about fast to the point where Whoopi Goldberg had to say, slow down, it's Ana dog, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh my God, this show is so out of control. I can't believe anybody watches. And who do they get to be in the audience? All guilty white liberal women.
Yeah. And they said this week, I think it was Whoopi who said something about how the presidential election basically runs through The View because whatever candidate or whatever side wants the female vote, wants the women's vote, they've got to convince and get the support of The View, because whoever The View tells women to vote for is who they're going to vote for, which is just we all know that the self-importance and ego running through that show, but to say it out loud like that this week just shows you how great they think that they are.
Well, Kenny and I have a phrase for that. We call it elitist egocentrism, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just what you're saying. The egocentrism of if we say women should vote this way, then women will vote this way. And that's not true. I mean, it's not their job, too, I'd like to say that, to sway an election. Their job is to entertain. That show would be so great if you had like Patricia Heaton in there every day, and you had, more of the conservative people in Hollywood be on that panel and talk about stuff. And it's not. Is it entertaining? Is that entertainment?
No, no, it is not. And it also, I can tell you at least one woman, my wife, is not waiting to hear from Whoopi Goldberg on who she should vote for.
Right. Let me tell you. Can I tell you one woman they don't want on The View? My wife.
Right. Yeah. The idea that they speak for all women is just disgusting. Back to the deal for a second. We're talking to Vic Porcelli. No, you're good. James Knowles brought up an important point, I think, in the last segment, in that that maybe the play for Iran here is to wait out President Trump and see who the next president of the United States is before they try anything. Because as you mentioned, Trump has already shown his willingness to use the military and go further than administrations have in the past. And I think that is a great point and a great reminder of how important the midterm elections are in a few months, and then obviously the 2028 presidential election, because I still have no trust in Iran and the Iranian regime to keep their word on anything. And maybe the only way to make them do that is to keep them scared of the consequences. Do you trust Iran at all any more than we did before after the signing of this agreement, or do you subscribe to that same, like, we've got to make sure that we stay very powerful on the world stage if we want to have any chance of holding this together?
Okay. Once again, you've opened up all the avenues. So
Go,
let me
baby.
see if I can hit them all.
Go.
First of all, I consider Iran the same Iran that blindfolded and held 52 Americans for 444 days, the same Iran that's today. So let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, do you think, Tony, that there's CIA in Iran?
Our CIA?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So why do you think, because this has boggled my mind, why do you think we were told that there's going to be CIA in Nicaragua? That's the only time I've heard them say that. Because the CIA is supposed to be, oh, yeah, we're sending some CIA into Nicaragua, And I was like, because I said to Ken, my father used to tell me, we know more than we need to know in this country, right? Mm-hmm. World War II, we knew what the government told us, right? And we believed them. And guess what? Oh, that's right, we won that war. But for them to say we're sending CIA into Nicaragua and silent is golden now, and the CIA that's there, I think will have everything under control from that end, and then message back to D.C. on what they think we should do. And that's how I think it's going to happen. Because if Iran is going to screw around, guess what? CIA will know about it right away.
Yeah, and I want to address one of the things you said there, that you believe that this is the same Iran, that held the hostages, the same Iran that we've dealt with, for the last 4, 5, 6 decades. I agree with you, but Trump doesn't. And I thought I think that is one of the most important things, or at least publicly, that's what he said. One of the most important statements from the president this week that hadn't gotten talked about as much as I think it should have. I've mentioned it a couple times. When talking about the Iranian regime, he said that this current leadership group, his words, are a lot smarter than the previous group. And then he said, you hear the term regime change, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to use that or not, but what is regime change? When the first group of leaders are there and then they're all wiped out, and then there's a second group of leaders and they're all wiped out, and now you're on the third group of leaders and half of them have been wiped out. He said, his words, that is regime change. So if we've had a regime change in Iran, then this should be a different outcome and a different group. I don't trust that or believe that one bit. And maybe the president is saying, maybe he's saying that for a reason and doesn't believe it completely. But if this is a new regime, then we should expect different results. But I don't believe that for a second. What do you think?
All right, let me say something. It may sound kind of stupid and harsh, but the president doesn't have to tell us the truth, right?
No.
Why? He says it all the time. Why would I answer that question? Why would I tell the enemy what's going on? They have televisions there. They see what's going on. They see a softer President Trump. They let their guard down. Boom. We go in and snatch out the regime, right? And I think that did you see the thing with Giorgia Meloni in Italy when Trump said she was begging me for a picture? She wanted begging me for a picture.
Yeah.
And now she says
that she canceled the trip or whatever.
Right. A trip was canceled. He doesn't have to tell us the truth about anything. If he gets the job done, I don't care. Going back to what my father said, we know more than we need to know. Just get the job done and tell us when it's done. That's all.
You don't have to tell us
the press out of it.
You don't have to tell us the truth, but don't lie to us. You don't have to tell us anything. But I'd rather, like that. I'm totally fine with that. But don't. And I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying to clarify at least where I stand on this. We're not owed the strategy, the playbook, and where all the secret missiles are and where the troops are. We're not owed any of that. But don't lie to me. Go ahead.
Let me ask you. Do you think the U.S. government, Department of War, back in 1944 after D-Day, do you think they told us the truth? Do you think they told us how many Americans were killed on Omaha Beach? Probably not. The only way we found any images of anything is to go to the movie theater right before Casablanca and right after the Bugs Bunny cartoon. They put the newsreel up there with the Walter Winchell. Our boys in France, 1944, June 6th, right?
Yeah.
And that was a heavily, heavily censored piece of propaganda. In essence, lying to us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there were plenty of casualties on D-Day and going on forward. And I'll say it again, we won that war. I think it's the press that gets in the way. I think it's the press that wants to say, oh, look at him walk down the stairs so fragilely. He was 25th Amendment. We got to get rid of him. I'm like, oh, my God, did you see Joe Biden fall up the stairs that time? You didn't say anything about that. The press is in the way.
Yeah,
they really
they are. They are because they're lying to people, and that's where the problem comes.
You hate being lied to.
I do. I hated being lied to by the Biden administration. I hate being lied to by the media, and I don't want to be lied to by the Trump administration. So you don't have to tell us the truth. You don't have to tell us everything, but don't lie to us. And again, I'm not saying that that's what happened here. I'm just saying that's where I stand on that issue.
You're saying don't pee on my leg and tell me it's wrong. Right?
Exactly. Last thing, Vic, because you mentioned him, and I talked with Ken about this earlier. You mentioned Joe. He was back in the news today, Joe Biden. Did you see him lost on stage yesterday?
I sure did.
You know, as I mentioned to Ken, there's a timeline. There's a reality out there where that guy's president right now. Can you even imagine? He's lost.
It's like Back to the Future, the alternate universe. So let me just say one quick thing.
Yep.
This morning, yesterday afternoon, I was watching the news. I watch NBC because you gotta see what the enemy's doing, right? You gotta think like a terrorist. And I hear that doom doom doom. I was like, oh my God, so somebody got shot. Was there a plane crash? I mean, what's going on? It was for the opening of the Obama Library. Are you kidding me?
And
that's a special report.
Wait till all the facts about this thing actually make it to the public about how the builders weren't paid properly.
Minority
builders, yes, weren't paid properly, and how just like all the cost, how much wasted spending went into building it. Not to mention, it is ugly.
How about
a monstrosity?
How about Hillary Clinton in a winter coat and scarf in 80-degree weather?
How about Hillary Clinton? How about Hillary Clinton calling out Joe Biden this week, saying that he made a huge mistake by running again when she was endorsing him while he was doing it, and now trying to, like so many of them have, try to change history and act like you were on a different side of things back when it was happening. But yeah, she's been, and not to mention Hillary also chiming in on, what's appropriate and not appropriate at the White House when talking about the UFC fight. When Bill Clinton was in the Oval Office with a cigar and an intern, give me a break. The sanctity of the White House.
But listen, I think her being in the winter coat in 80 degrees with the scarf on, because people were saying they saw a bulge in the back, like she's wearing some kind of back brace or something. I think she's in very, very ill health right now, and they don't want to say it because they never want to tell the truth. Do you remember when she just fell down trying to get into that band? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
She just fell down. What was that all about? They never told us about that. And then I think they took somebody that looked just like her 10 minutes later to say, oh, I'm good, I'm fine. But I think there's something there, and I think something's wrong with her. Not that I care, don't get me wrong, but, it's just the same thing how they never tell the truth.
They never tell the truth.
Ed Stoy, everything Democrats say, the opposite is true.
There's been something weird going on with Hillary for a long time. You ever do that video where she coughs that green marble into the cup? You know what I'm talking about?
God, no.
Oh, I got to send you the video. It's out there.
No, don't.
She's like at a rally, like taking a drink, like she's coughing, and she's like taking a drink out of a clear glass of water, and like something like green and round comes out of her, like not phlegm, like looked like a Super Bowl or something. Like it just, yeah. There's been something weird going on with her for. Yeah, that maybe it was. It was the tracking device.
Right.
She was getting rid of it.
From
Yeah.
the home planet.
Vic Porcelli, buddy, really appreciate your time, overtime on a Friday afternoon. Great to catch up with you, of course. Vic and Ken every weekday, 9 a.m. to noon, 3-hour tour every day here on News Talk STL. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
My
You
friend.
too.
Yeah.
You too.
And we'll talk to you very soon and be listening
right.
on Monday morning. Vic Porcelli there.
Stop
Here.
the
Yeah. Paisan. Vic Porcelli here on Colombo and Company. And before we wrap things up and hand it off to the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show at 4 o'clock, we're going to be joined by News Talk STL contributor, former co-host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning, Gabe Phifer. We're going to talk a little bit more, dig into some of the news of the day, and then have some Friday fun time. Hopefully, to put a smile on your face, lighten the mood as we head into this Father's Day weekend. Gabe Phifer joins us next.
It's Friday!
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Maybe we can take our own show on the road. I'll lay down the beat, you carry the tune.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Intervine and Intervine.com, the local family-owned business that makes the best flashlights, lanterns, and headlamps on the market. They also make batteries in all different sizes, and you can get everything at Intervine.com right now for 25% off just by using my name, Tony, Tony, as your promo code at checkout. Great time of the year for being outside. And if you're a hardcore outdoorsman or know somebody in your family or your friends that, are big into the outdoors, everything from the heavy-duty lanterns to the tech flashlights to, the smaller headlamps, lanterns, flashlights that are super bright, super reliable, but can easily fit in a drawer of your home or the glove box of your vehicle, so you always have that strong, reliable light source no matter where you at. Lots of different options. You want battery powered, you want ones that charge, you want lanterns that do various things, including light up the entire area. They've got tons of great products at Intervine.com. And again, batteries in different sizes. You can just stock up on AA and AAA batteries for an incredible price, 25% off, just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code at checkout at Intervine.com. Intervine is Intervine. Use my name, Tony, for 25% off at checkout at Intervine.com.
Fox News commentary with Jesse Waters. Next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us, and it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Jesse Waters.
Iran's nuke program is over. Forever. The mullahs have agreed, at the very least, that their enriched uranium stockpiles will be destroyed on site, and that the International Atomic Energy Agency, which means us, will supervise. Since Iran can't dig it out, we'd be the ones doing it. They only get sanctions relief after the dust is destroyed. And if Iran backs out, they've still agreed that they'll maintain the current status quo of their nuclear program. And the status quo is they have no nuke program. The uranium's buried, the centrifuges shattered, and their scientists are all dead. So status quo is still bueno. Even then, Iran agreed to this, quote, "We shall not procure or develop nuclear weapons." And if Iran so much as comes near the sites, it'll be trouble.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Hi, Sandy. What's that? I'm reading up on this Amendment 4 on the August ballot. What's 4?
Amendment 4 absurdly creates a new un-American minority veto power, but only for ballot issues that we citizens put on the ballot.
Don't they say it'll protect conservative ideas?
Truth gets in the way of their story. Amendment 4 would mean as few as 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one congressional district could veto any good conservative idea or reform, even when a big majority supports it.
That does sound un-American. How did that get on the ballot?
The politicians put it there, and it would empower a small minority of liberals. They could stop funding for police, stop tax cuts, or any other common sense conservative policy we support.
Only 5%? One district? That would make it nearly impossible to pass needed reforms or rein in politicians.
Yep, Amendment 4 is a misguided power grab by politicians. I'm voting no on Amendment 4.
Right. I'm not giving up my constitutional rights. It's a hard no on 4.
Paid for by Missourians for Fair Governance.
Hey, Jamie Allman here, looking for the ultimate escape? Well, welcome to Santino's, where luxury meets authenticity in a stunning 6,000 square foot destination. Browse hundreds of premium cigars in the walk-in humidor. Explore more than 700 bottles of whiskey. Whether it's their non-smoking wine room, gaming lounge with custom poker tables, it's Santino's just off Highway 55 at the Imperial exit. See them at Santino'sCigarCocktails.com. That's Santino'sCigarCocktails.com.
On the next
Larry Connor's USA.
The story behind the story, something personal, sentimental, in honor of Sunday, Father's Day.
Larry Connor's USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. I am Tony Colombo in studio with producer Ashlyn. Big thanks to Vic Porcelli for joining us in that last segment. And now joining us on the line, we started the week with Gabe Phifer. We're wrapping up the week with Gabe Phifer, News Talk STL contributor, former co-host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning. Gabriel, thank you for a little overtime this week. How are you?
Absolutely. Happy Friday, friends. Doing good.
Yeah. Happy Friday. Happy Father's Day to you, buddy, as we get into the Father's Day weekend.
You as well.
And, we talked to Steve Templeton in the 2 o'clock hour. If you missed that, if you're making plans this weekend, the day to be outside is tomorrow. For Sunday on Father's Day, we could see some severe weather. So as everybody's making their plans this weekend, if you plan on doing something outside, you might want to make those plans for Saturday. And, of course, just keep an eye on that Channel 4 weather app, throughout the weekend. To keep up to speed on what's happening with the weather. So, Gabe, I want to get your thoughts, before we get into some Friday fun time, I want to get your thoughts on the latest happening with the peace agreement between the U.S. and Iran, and also some news today. There was a lot of talk about whether the Lebanon-Israel component of the war would be in the U.S. agreement, and it wasn't, which I am very happy about, because for a long time, Iran was insisting that the U.S. put requirements on Israel in our peace agreement, which is like, we can't. We're not Israel.
It's not how that works.
Right, exactly. But today, a U.S.-backed ceasefire between Israel and the Iranian-backed terror group Hezbollah took effect this afternoon. The Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire took effect at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, at 4 p.m. local time there. Both a senior U.S. and Israeli official told the media. A Hezbollah spokesperson told Fox News Digital that the group would abide by the ceasefire as long as Israel does, but reserves the right to respond to any violation. It's amazing to me how much leverage the terrorists and Hezbollah and Iran on both of these agreements, the leverage that they think that they have, and quite frankly, the leverage that we've given them. An Israeli ambassador to the U.S. said today that Israel remains, quote, firmly committed to an immediate ceasefire with Hezbollah. So I think this is another important step of this. It's not just the agreement now between the United States and Iran, but also an agreement between Israel and Hezbollah. I'm still very concerned about how this is all going to play out. I still have a lot of worries about how it's all going to play out, but How do you feel right now, Gabe, at the at this moment about being on the right track or not with the agreement as it stands?
Honestly, it's tough to really parse what's going on because there are so many people who are giving their take on it without necessarily telling us what exactly is in the deal. Like I said last time we were talking about this, I think ultimately any sort of peace deal, the devil is going to be in the details. We can say whatever we want about restricting Iranian nuclear ambitions, but if there isn't a robust and significant inspection regime, then that's a pipe dream. But if there is, then hey, yeah, absolutely, this is something to be lauded. So as far as the security agreement, especially when it comes to what's going on in Lebanon, honestly, at this point, I'm not even sure what's going on in Lebanon, other than Hezbollah is acting up and Israel's trying to smash their heads back in. I don't know. I mean, as far as peace agreements go with pretty much any Islamic nation out there, it's going to be, we're going to take a timeout while we rearm. Yeah. And that's pretty much the best you're going to get.
Yeah, and to your point about not knowing the details, we can read the 14-paragraph, 14-point agreement, the MOU, that was signed and released yesterday, but you're exactly right in that because we have this 60-day negotiation period that will be where we finalize all of the specifics about their nuclear program, because they're going to be allowed to have a nuclear program for power plants and things like that, just not a nuclear weapons program. What are those details going to be? What are the details going to be about their oil industry? What are the details going to be about the Strait of Hormuz? All of these things, they're not in this agreement yet because they're part of this 60-day negotiation period. So there's still a lot to learn and a lot of important things to be decided here in the coming weeks. Today, the president addressed the $300 billion, the reconstruction support that Iran gets as part of this deal if they stick to everything, and the controversy surrounding this about women, and you were mad about Obama giving them money, but you're giving them money too. The president said today that Iran gets, quote, no money and not 10 cents during a 60-day negotiation period to hash out the final details of the agreement. Quote, we didn't meet out of desperation. Iran did. They are finished. All caps on finished. We'll play out the 60 days. They get no money, not 10 cents. The Trump administration this week publicly outlined the contents of its new memorandum of understanding. It revealed plans for immediate waivers on Iranian oil exports and a framework for at least $300 billion in reconstruction and economic development if a final deal is reached. Gabe, in your opinion, is a $300 billion reconstruction development plan the same thing as handing money like Obama did, or is there a clear and important distinction between the two?
Well, as far as I can understand, the redevelopment plan is basically us rebuilding some bridges and power plants that we blew up. That's basically my understanding, is that there's civilian infrastructure that was taken out during the military campaign that obviously it would impact the civilians in the area, and we're looking to rebuild those. I don't know if when they say $300 billion package, is that us giving it, or is that us setting up contracts between the Iranian government and friendly construction businesses, essentially, to go and do that? Are the Iranians going to be paying for this? Yeah. So there are a lot of details that just don't come out especially when they start throwing around numbers. It's like, well, okay, who is that coming from, and who is it going to? And that never seems to be in the discussion. But I think so long as we're getting the concessions that we want in terms of the Strait of Hormuz and the nuclear ambitions, I think we should be encouraged by that. I would like some of those things, especially the reconstruction stuff, to be contingent on some interior reforms in Iran. Now, of course, there's going to be discussions about sovereignty when it comes to that stuff. But, for me, it's kind of like, you're not allowed to kill your own people anymore, and then we'll give you your power back.
Yeah. Yeah, and you make a great point there, and I think it's like massively important. And I guess we'll just know the details when the 60-day negotiation period is over. But for me, when it comes to the $300 billion package or plan, it's the important part is who controls the money. Who controls the money and what it goes towards? You know, what it's rebuilt.
And where's the money coming from?
Yeah,
and who? Coming from us?
Yeah, and if we're just handing them that money and saying, "Hey, rebuild your stuff," that's a problem. If we're the ones that are
that's definitely
controlling the what's being rebuilt and where that money's going and where it's coming from and all of those things, that's a much better deal, and needs to be the situation. And it's really important for the president, I think, to show strength and show that we're the ones calling the shots and dictating how this is going to play out, and showing that strength as we get closer to the midterms. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries today was being clever, talking to the press, saying that regime change is coming to Congress in November. How do you feel now? You know, obviously a lot is going to change in these next, this negotiation period is going to be massively impactful and important to the midterm elections, I think. But as it stands right now, do you feel like Trump and the Republicans are on the right path and have the momentum heading into the midterms, or they got a lot of work to do still?
Well, here's always going to be the problem when it comes to this stuff is, okay, are we talking about whether or not they're doing conservative things and things that are beneficial to the country? I think for the most part, that's true. Whether or not the American people are aware of those things and can respond to them intelligently, that might be a different thing. And then are people excited enough about the midterm election to even go out and do something about it, to vote in or out the people that they want? So those are the kind of the multiple questions that are always in play when it comes to the midterms, and all of them are difficult for me to answer, except for so far I'm relatively pleased with the things, at least that I'm hearing about, that the administration is doing. Obviously there could be things that done better. There are some choices I wouldn't have made at all, but certainly better than the alternative.
Yeah.
But, whether or not that translates into something real, I don't know. One thing though, I got to bring this up, is the Save America Act. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Election
well,
integrity.
We want that one.
Right. Where's that
going?
gone?
Yes. Everybody wants that one. So why aren't we getting it?
Yeah, and you know what? That's such a great point. That is such a great point. I've talked about how the Iran, this deal and the war and the agreement have taken our eyes off of so many other important things, like the SAVE Act, and we've got a lot of local important issues. The media and Congress, we can't allow them to just be distracted by trying to attack the president over the peace agreement and just conveniently forget about other important things like the SAVE Act and these other issues as we get towards the midterm elections. And you're right. And I think it's just I think we got a lot of questions have to be answered, and it's really important to the administration and the Republicans to show strength and clarity and communication with the American people, because with the media on their side, the Democrats, will take advantage of
Absolutely.
that as we get to those midterm elections. Gabe Phifer is on the line. He's going to stick around. We're going to have a little Friday fun time. Michelle Obama in the news, kind of hinting at her future. What could it be? Are we going to have more Michelle Obama in our lives moving forward? One part of me hopes not. One part of me knows that it'd be really entertaining if we did. So maybe doesn't want it. But we'll talk about what Michelle Obama said at the opening ceremony of the new Barack Obama presidential monstrosity in Chicago, as we continue with Gabe Phifer and a little Friday fun time next on Colombo and Company.
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk.
phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Yesterday at this time, we were talking to my co-host of the Bluff City Outdoors Show. The owner of Bluff City Outdoors, Mark McMurray, was in studio with us. Go check out that conversation on the podcast if you missed it. And don't forget, Bluff City Outdoors in Alton, Illinois, your place to go for all of your outdoor needs. Fishing is on fire across the area right now, all across Missouri and Illinois, and nobody takes care of you with all your fishing needs, gear, bait, both live and frozen bait, everything you need for your next trip on the water. They have you covered there in Alton at Bluff City Outdoors. They're located a mile east of Fast Eddie's. They're on East Broadway. They're open 7 days a week, and they have all of your fishing needs covered, all your bow hunting needs covered, all your trapping needs covered, all your Garmin electronic needs covered. You can shoot every day in their archery range. You can even join archery leagues there at Bluff City Outdoors. It's just a great place, the best place for people in the outdoor community here in the St. Louis area. Get out there and visit them in Alton. Tune in every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. for the Bluff City Outdoors show. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, it's Susie Moore with a reminder that for 20 years, Harpo's Chesterfield has been the heart of West County's fun. With their award-winning patio, voted best in West County, and excellent sports bar atmosphere, Harpo's is your one-stop destination. The mouth-watering menu has made them famous throughout St. Louis. Plus, they've got great drink specials and the friendliest, most energetic staff around. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, Harpo's delivers fun, food, and drinks like no one else. Harpo's Chesterfield. Call 636-537-1970 or visit harposstl.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Ashlyn and Gabe Phifer, News Talk STL contributor, on the line with us. Gabe, I don't know if you saw any of the ridiculousness from the opening of the Barack Obama Presidential Library, which is an absolute monstrosity that was cost way more money than it should have, screwed minority building companies out of money. It's ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, so it sounds like the Obama administration.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like something that was managed by the federal government, particularly under a Democrat rule. One of the other news stories coming out of that, other than we already talked about Joe Biden getting lost on stage again yesterday.
Oh, again?
Yeah, everybody left. They're all on stage. Obama, Michelle, Jill Biden, the Clintons, they're all on stage, and they at the end of the thing, and they all walk off stage, and Joe just gets lost, and he's up there by himself looking ridiculous.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, it's
elder abuse.
No,
man.
but
Come
it
on.
is. It really is. Michelle Obama was asked during an interview regarding the opening of the library a question about her future that's drawing a lot of backlash. The former First Lady drew criticism after telling ABC's Good Morning America that the next chapter of her life could be summed up in one word during a joint interview with the former president, Barack Obama. So Robin Roberts of ABC asked both of them to describe the next chapter of their lives in one word. And what was kind of a lighthearted conversation. She asked Barack first, what's one word to describe the next chapter of your life? And he said, fun. Okay.
Okay.
Asked Michelle Obama, what's one word to describe the next chapter of your life? Me.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
What does that mean? Does that mean it's going to be all about, are we going to see Michelle Obama, like, running for president? Is it going to be, what is it, like, Jill Biden, Michelle Obama, the massive egos? It's, there's something there, right? And then, of course.
Level of self-importance.
Of course, yes. Robin Roberts from ABC, she loved it. She starts, like, cackling and said, that's what you call a mic drop.
No, it isn't.
Is it?
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
The narrator breaks in.
Are you worried that Michelle's got plans for the future, and that could have to do with us and her?
I doubt that what she means by that is some sort of political ambitions. I'm pretty sure it's just more fourth wave feminist, me talk. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. She's probably gonna have another book.
Yeah,
I'm thinking something like that. Maybe more speaking tours, more reasons for people to applaud how stunning and brave she is. But I doubt that means political ambition.
Can you imagine sitting next to your wife, getting somebody's talking to you, and they ask you about what's your focus going forward? What's your
right.
Me, not family, not like me.
Like most people, when they talk about retirement, they usually talk about, now granted, hobbies are kind of self-focused, but they'll say something about their hobbies. They'll say something about spending time with family. Honestly, I think it really is just kind of an expression of narcissism, which, nobody should be surprised about.
The internet has created a new word. I could give you a million guesses, and you would never come up with this new word. It's a combination of existing words.
Oh, that's fun. Those are always fun.
The new word is exhausterwhelmulated.
Oh, come on.
Exhausterwhelmulated.
Okay, so exhausted, overwhelmed, and overstimulated.
You got it. You got it exactly. If you've ever been exhausted, overwhelmed, and overstimulated all at the same time, you have been exhausterwhelmulated.
You know what exhausterwhelmulates me? Words like exhausterwhelmulate.
Making up new terms.
I gotta tell you. I love you, Zoomers. I know there's some great Zoomers out there who are listening to the station, who are doing the thing, they're walking the walk, talking the talk. They're the next generation. We have to invest in them. All of the various disclaimers, but y'all are weird.
Y'all are weird.
Y'all are weird. Look.
And stupid many
Gen
times.
X has its own. Gen X has its own foibles.
Yes.
But we were not. We were never this weird.
Man, I was looking at
We were never this weird.
No. I was looking at another story, speaking of generations this week, about how Gen Xers, mostly, not this Gen Xer, because I'm late, I'm towards the end. Most Gen Xers are in their 50s, which just makes me,
Are you cringing over there?
Yeah. And it said that 33% of us are still dependent on our parents. I don't know, that sounds high to me for
I don't think that's true.
Yeah,
I think it's the other way around. Yeah. Just because you live,
I agree.
Just because you live in your childhood home as a Gen Xer and your parents are there, I don't think that means you're living off your parents. I think that means you're taking care of your parents. You just happen to be in their house.
They did just real quick. They did give a list of examples of when you may feel exhausterwhelmulated.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Yeah.
Explaining Venmo to grandma. That may leave you exhausterwhelmulated. Figuring out which fire alarm has the low battery chirp going on in your house could leave you exhausted or well-emulated. So if you want to start using it in a sentence, Gabe, there's a couple examples on how to do so. Gabe Phifer, News Talk STL. Yeah, you. Former co-host of Mike Ferguson in the morning. Great to talk with you, my friend. We'll talk to you again on Monday. And as always, appreciate your time. Have a great weekend and happy Father's Day again.
Yep, thanks, guys. God bless. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, back at you. Great stuff there, as always. What a crazy week it has been. We will keep an eye on everything that happens over the weekend and be back with you on Monday to get you updated on all the latest news and headlines, both nationally, internationally, and locally. It's going to be a busy news summer, and we've got you covered here at News Talk STL. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day. Keep it here for Larry's commentary, then the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show next.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.